Let's get on with the details now. A Circuit Court has sentenced a head teacher of the Ping Basic School in the Sisala East District to 10 years in prison for defiling a 10-year-old student. Let's go live to our Upper West correspondent, Rafiq Salam, who has more on this story. Hello, Rafiq. Rafiq, if you can hear me, give us a bit more details to this story that's just coming in. We've lost Rafiq Salam there, but we'll try and raise him back on the line so we can get details about this head teacher and about this case of defilement and the 10 years that has been given him. As I indicated earlier on, Rafiq Salam was in court today. He witnessed the entire proceedings, and so he has the details. He'll join us and when we're able to raise him on the line. But in the meantime, at least 1,000 people have signed an online petition as part of a social media campaign to push government to operationalize the 597-bed capacity University of Ghana Medical Center. It's been more than a year since the first phase of the hospital was commissioned by former President John Mahama, but the government is yet to open the facility to the public, citing technical reasons. A final year pharmacy student of the University of Ghana, Reginald Sechi Brown, who is leading the online campaign, is seeking to push government to operationalize that place. Before we hear from him, let's bring back a report filed by John News' Matilda Wamega when she visited the facility last month.
This is the University of Ghana Medical Center. There's been a huge public outcry why this multi-million facility remains dormant, even though it appears to have been completed. On the premises of the University of Ghana sits the state-of-the-art medical center, a serene environment with little activity except for a few gardeners who keep the lush-looking lawns and walkways, as well as some security men who guard the place and monitor every activity. I made my way into the emergency block. Cold air greets me as I take a walk into one of the 9 theater rooms. It is a spacious and well-lit operating room with overhead surgical lights, surgical booms which hide electrical cords attached to some of the equipment. They are all kept under cold temperature, with air condition running for more than a year. The old-looking surgical tables, viewing screens and monitors have been carefully fitted in place. From the idle-looking emergency block, which could carry out 9 different operations at a time, is the huge women and children block. This beautiful edifice houses the obstetrics, gynecology, labor and delivery, as well as the pediatric wards. The opening of the $217 million 650-bed capacity facility has been delayed by what the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman, referred to as the absence of essentials such as a backup generator, without which the MRI and imaging equipment, for instance, could not be operated because of possible fluctuations of power from the national grid.
You may have some close to finality and discussions and engagements into it. But those who claim the place is completed, I am the minister. And I want to tell the Ghanaian population that the place is not completed. Cabinet has approved for $50 million extra to continue to go to do phase 2. You cannot run MRIs and imaging equipment on the national grid that sees a semblance of going up and down like that. The backup generator is not there yet. So we should operationalize and support the equipment. You see, I wouldn't go there. I said I don't want us to go there. I might speak with a lot of passion. There are certain little things that has not been done yet. So why the rush? I don't want to go into it. But some of the issues in there, if some of you will want to care and come close and look at documentation and look at how the place was being structured to be managed, you will weep for this country.
However, checks by Joy News show that there are 2 huge generating sets mounted on the premises of the facility. This is the generating room. Right behind me are 2 huge generators. These are supposed to be backup power supply to the University of Ghana Medical Center. Former Deputy Health Minister Roger Metal Nunu, who has been directly involved with this project, says reasons why the gen sets are yet to be put to use is because the health minister has failed to give the needed support to make it functional.
The current status of the University of Ghana Medical Center is that we have a ministry that collaborated with the University of Ghana that has simply failed to read all the handing over notes that were given to it, has failed to understand the scope of works of the project, and has failed to take full responsibility for facilitating the establishment of the startup capital or seed capital, and to provide the necessary support for the recruitment and employment of over 1,200 health professionals who have already been interviewed. This commission approving the conditions of service of the people. He has no clue what he's talking about. That's Kolebu Teaching Hospital. That's Kolebu Teaching Hospital, run on only the national grid. They also have a standby generator. That's Komfanochi Hospital, rely on just the national grid. They have a backup. You cannot have people on the operating theater and then suddenly lights goes off, and then all the life support systems will just shut down on the person. That's just like removing oxygen from somebody while you're doing a surgery. So the scope of works for the 650-bed hospital included a standby generating facility of excellence.
The University of Ghana Medical Center was built to provide medical care to people in Ghana and the West African sub-region. But since completion of the first phase and its subsequent inauguration by the former President John Mahama in 2017, the facility has been dormant. Cabinet has directed the Ministry of Health to take over its management, pending a report by the 2 subcommittees set up by government. Delays in operationalizing this facility could certainly affect healthcare delivery in the country. For many patients in dire need of such state-of-the-art, cutting-edge healthcare, they will have to wait as long as the facility remains closed. For Joy News, Matilda Fumaga, University of Ghana, Legon, Accra.
Matilda, with that reports there. Now, the lead petitioner, Reginald Sechi Brown, joins me in the studio with more information. Also joining us from the United Kingdom via Skype is Kwame Sedu Sapon. He's also a pharmacist and part of the online campaigners seeking to get government to operationalize that facility. And I'm going to have to... Gentlemen, you're welcome, by the way, both of you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Reginald, it's good to have you this afternoon. What's the very latest? You say that you've just submitted your petition. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Joy News, and also to those who have registered their signatures for the ongoing petition. I would like to state on record that the petition has been duly submitted at the office of the President. As a matter of fact, I'm just coming from that place.
You're just coming from the first, the Jubilee House,
Jubilee House,
where you submitted. So tell us, what were the processes you had to go through to submit it?
Oh, okay.
What did you have to do when you got there?
Oh, they have a receptionist who tailors in whatever documents that the outside public brings to the office of the President. So I delivered it to the appropriate quarters, and also we documented that we submitted the documents to the office of the President.
Okay. So let me start. Let's go back to someone says let's start from the beginning. How did it dawn on you guys to start an online petition? I mean, we've been running this story for some time, and so I'm wondering, at what point did it occur to you to start this campaign, and how did it happen? I mean, how did it occur to you to start it? You give us a bit of that, and then we'll go over to your colleague in the UK for his as well.
Fantastic. One thing that we as citizens of this country is that consistently people have stated that the Ghanaian people are a timid group of people. Now, it's like any time that we give responsibilities to our leaders to perform, they end up abnegating those responsibilities. Now, I realize that we've had historical antecedents chronicling these particular issues, for instance. Now, if you look at what happened in Kumasi for about 5-10 years ago with regards to your Konfanochi hospital,
baby and mother's unit.
Exactly, the baby and mother's unit. You ask yourself, how long did it take the government to realize that such facility was supposed to be revived for the use of
Actually,
mothers?
that facility is still there as it is. There was a whole new one that was built.
Altogether, you see. So quite apart from that, you realize that all across the country, we have the Volo Medical Center, we have the Maritime Medical Facility. There are a whole lot of such facilities across the country. Now, if you compare it to the current situation, you compare it to what we used to have in the past. There was documents that I cited earlier today that was in 1979, a document that was written by Patrick A. Tumesi, that's chronicling a social medical history of the people of Ghana. You realize that the situation in 1979 and the current situation
are not very different. So then you decided to take it upon yourself to start this campaign.
Exactly. Something must trigger the system. Something must be able to remedy the system that we find ourselves in. That's why we initiated this whole campaign.
Okay, let me come to you, Kwame Sedu Sapong, who is joining us via Skype, as I indicated earlier on, all the way from London. Kwame, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so how did it all begin from your end?
Well, healthcare in Ghana is like a moral maze. I keep telling people that we seem to think that the government would change the system. The reality is that we have seen governments change. We've been in this Fourth Republic for close to 26 years. And how many government changes have we seen? We've seen it about 2 or 3 times. And we've seen changes in presidents, even within government, from the Mills to Mahama. And nothing seems to really change. The more things change, the more things remain the same. And so I was talking to Reginald and a few of us because we've been working on the Tramadol campaign and all those things. And I was like, if we think we're going to look at the poor statistics of Ghana, where we have 1 doctor to 9,039 people. We have 1 pharmacist to 13,500 people. We have 1 nurse. And the statistics are appalling. And we think that we're going to change the statistic before we get accessible health care to the ordinary Ghanaian. It's not going to work.
Okay.
Because those statistics are not going to move within the norms of WHO expectation in the next decade.
So you were obviously not very enthused that there was a whole a building that's supposed to support health delivery system in Ghana that was shut.
That is the point.
Have you listened, by the way, to the minister's explanation that there still are certain things that have to be done with this system, and that even though we've all been given the impression that it is ready, and of course the reports that my colleague just did shows that it looks like it's ready to be used, and she shows us the generators. Even though the minister says the generators are not ready, well, there could be some more explanations to why the generators are there but can't be used. But have you heard the explanation from government to support why it cannot be open now? And does it make sense to you?
Well, I find it ludicrous. I mean, I'm laughing, not because I find the situation funny, but I find it rather surprising that we're so accepting of government explanations of things that do not make sense. They basically do not make sense. We took people to Israel. We trained them. There are people who were trained in Israel to come and man this facility. We have a facility. Okay, let's assume they don't have generators. Let me play the devil's advocate. Are we trying to say all hospitals in Ghana run on generators? The nuance and the thought that because they don't have generators, they cannot run
doesn't make sense to you.
It's laughable. Because at the end of the day, you are looking at it that how many, even in the area of doom, so did we shut all our hospitals because they didn't have generators? What kind of bogus excuses do we give ourselves? And we tickle ourselves fancy and laugh.
So certainly that explanation for you is untenable and has no merit.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, let me come back to Reginald here in the studio. Reginald, you submitted the petition today. Tell us what's in the petition. What are you asking for? Are there any timelines?
Yes, for the timelines, we are looking at this very Friday, which is the 1st of June. Okay. We're calling on the president to act immediately because within the space of time where the ranking member of parliament in the former government stated that the place is ready and that government has not read the handing over note properly, between that of the current health minister, who is stating on record that the documentations that the previous government is claiming to have done a very good job on is not reflective enough of what they have done. So between that particular that gap, you realize that life goes on and people are dying. So if we want to remedy that situation, then we need to act as citizens. So in that very...
That point you've made, what I want you to address for me right now is for us to know what's in the petition. Okay. You say that you're giving government up to what?
Friday.
Friday.
Yes, we want to hear from the president, and not just to hear from him. We want to know exactly when. Because if you listen to both parties, you realize that they keep saying, okay, there are notes here, there are notes there, but no one is being
So
honest.
we don't really know who is telling the truth.
Exactly.
And so what do you want, and what the petition states for government or for President Akufo-Addo to do is to come out and speak about it so that we can take him, you know, as leader of the administration, we can take him by his word.
Exactly.
And so you want him to say that by Friday, when they're going to open up this hospital. Hospital.
Fantastic.
Apart from that, what is contained in this petition? Signatures of the people?
Yes, we have the signatures of people who have registered their concern for the online petition. And also we gave cogent reasons why this is needs immediate attention. For instance, if you look at the statistics of the stats that we have for neonatal and preterm death, for instance, you realize that it keeps rising. And as Kwame rightly stated, the doctor to patient ratio, the pharmacist to patient ratio, the allied health science to patient ratio in Ghana is unpardonable. Now, if you also compare it to what is happening currently in drug peddling and cycling system, where people do not trust the medical system well enough to send their problems to the hospitals and various health centers, you realize that there is an urgent need to quickly correct the system before it gets out of hand. So that is the key issues that have been raised in the petition, in addition to the fact that we have pharmacy students, we have dentistry students, we have nursing, we have allied health science students who will be trained by this very facility. And we also have researchers who can also, we also have researchers who need this very facility to be able to carefully do their various research work instead of seeking external support and collaborations from other people.
Let me go to Kwame Sirius-Sapon, take his very final words. You send this petition to the presidency. What are your expectations? And if those expectations, for example, like getting the president to speak about this matter by Friday doesn't happen, what do you do? What are you going to do?
Well, it's not down to just those of us who've petitioned the president, is it? It's down to the Ghanaian. If you're sitting there, you're losing your mother, your father, your uncle, your aunt, your niece, your nephew, and you see a hospital built with state-of-the-art technology, with people trained on the wings who can actually work in it, and it's shut because there is political gerrymandering, and you think that there's nothing you can do about it, then obviously we are not fit to be citizens. We are fit to be spectators. So if the president doesn't respond, we want to see citizens act as citizens. And if it means pounding the streets, let them pound the streets. Okay. It's enough.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, I'd like to say a very big thanks to both of you for coming, and we'll be following this development. We'll see how it it all pans out by Friday, whether or not the presidency will respond to this. But thank you so much, and thank you so much for your campaign as well. I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians will be very excited about this. Thank you for coming once again. I've been speaking with Reginald Sechi Brown. He is the lead petitioner here in Ghana, and also Kwame Asiedu Sapong, who joined us via Skype all the way from the United Kingdom. Now, information that we're picking up indicates that the facility may be open next month, all things being equal. Well, from our sources, we're not quite sure of that information yet, but we'll be monitoring the timelines, and of course you get those updates. By the way, you're still running the campaign. Are you still running the campaign on Facebook? What are people supposed to do, by the way?
People are still supposed to register their signatures on the online.
We've seen people take pictures with
placards. Yes, placards. You see, that is the kind of momentum that we want to build, and this is not just the momentum we are building in Accra. If you look at what is happening up north, for instance, you realize that even for their health facility, at least even those in Accra are even lucky. Up north is even worse. So we are starting here, and definitely it will catch a national fire very soon.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, Reginald. So the campaign is still on. It's on social media. You want to be a part of it. I think people are, you can just take up your a paper and write your thoughts about this facility and what you expect government to do, and let it just flow away on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all up to you, so that this facility will be open for use by the public.